Hey everyone, and welcome back. Now today we're going to be going over the Virtuals protocol, because if you're a regular watcher of my channel, you probably realize that when we go over the crypto bubbles, Virtuals has been one that's been very consistently one of the top gainers of the day. It's done really well. We're going to take a look at the chart. We're also going to take a look into what it is, what it does, all that different type of stuff. Take a look at the tokenomics, basically, so we can see like what is Virtuals, what's it about, all that type of stuff. And honestly, like to me, it looks like it could be something similar to like the next pump.fun. It really looks like it's got the virality to it. It looks like it's kind of built to, you know, be a pretty successful and potentially viral project. So anyway, let's go ahead and dive right in. And starting out, what we can see actually is Virtuals is down 14% on the day. Part of the reason I wanted to look into it is because we are seeing a little bit of a pullback from what we've been seeing a little bit more recently, which is basically just up only. So this could potentially be a good time to, you know, potentially start doing some research, getting in on an investment if that is something that you are interested in. Again, not financial advice. You do need to do your own research and make your own decisions. These are just things that I'm kind of looking into, doing my own research on. I find a little bit interesting, and so if you know, I bring them to you guys, and you guys can obviously decide if that's something that you're interested in or not. This is not an investment recommendation in any sense of the word. So, but we can see down a decent bit on the day. We can also see Pengu down a huge amount. This was actually an airdrop for the Pudgy Penguins NFTs. So this is one that usually when we see airdrops like this, they usually dump pretty hard. We did see one similar to this a couple years back, which was the Ape token. They've now built out their own chain, and it's now the Ape chain, all this different type of stuff. So it's possible that we potentially see, you know, the Pudgy Penguins token do something similar to that, but at least right now, just a whole bunch of red going on. Again, like I said, not too concerning, not too unusual for what we usually see out of like an airdrop. I will say this is a pretty steep drop though, so a little bit out of the ordinary in that sense. Usually there's a little bit of sell-off, but not that much. So looking at the Virtuals protocol, we can see a couple of different things. So I've got two price like indicators here. What we can see is over the past, basically since like the middle of October, so let's call it 2 months, we've seen a 5,881% gain from bottom to top. Again, you know, you may have not been in bottom to top, maybe you know, got in here and got out there, or you know, maybe you got in here and you're still in, who knows. I don't have any idea, but based on what we are seeing here, absolutely unbelievable gains happening within the past couple of months. Now, recently, basically within the past 2 days, we have seen almost a 24% pullback from the top that we saw here. Obviously a major wick to the upside and then a pretty strong red candle. Based on what we have seen on the chart, this isn't too unreasonable, right? I mean, we've basically seen up only for the better part of 2 months. A little bit of consolidation in this range, but otherwise pretty much up only. A little bit of pullback here I don't think is particularly bad. What we can see is I have put kind of a level of resistance here. We could maybe even put a secondary like level of support kind of in this range if we were to put it probably somewhere like that. And then honestly, we've basically just saw a gap from like here up. So our main points of, and actually we'll just add a couple more from what we were kind of seeing prior to this. So this, if I had to kind of show you where we were looking at for supports and resistances, this is probably something that I would show. Obviously we'll show resistance up here because that's where we saw the wick. But so we're starting down here at about 31 cents, and then we got another one at about 44, and then another one at about 60, and then we gap all the way up to about $1.45, and then another one here at about $1.82, and then again the all-time high here at $3.32. So as you can see, some pretty disparate levels of support and resistance. Given the moves that we have seen, I don't know that we can really trust these lines too much. Like I said, I mean, there is a possibility maybe we steady out somewhere in this range. Where, I have no idea. There's not really any like previous support to show that. I mean, we could use potentially like the fib extension or the fib retrace, stuff like that to potentially figure it out. But ultimately right now, the main thing that I'm looking at is like major levels of support is probably back here at this 180 range. If we do get back to this, I might consider potentially taking a buy. This overall like chart is looking not in a great place to buy right now today, but I think the project itself is actually pretty interesting. So it is something that might warrant a buy long term. We'll have to kind of see how it goes. What we actually can see is they have just barely started trading this on BTCC as well. So if you are interested in trading Virtuals or Bitcoin, Ethereum, any other alts or whatever's through BTCC, you are more than welcome to do that. I do have that link in the description below. I am still working with BTCC for the month where you can get a 10% bonus on your first time deposits. So it's basically like 10% of free money. you can use that to trade within the app. So if you are looking for a new place to trade anyway, I would say why not go ahead and get 10% free money. It seems like a pretty decent idea to me. This is in addition to the extra bonuses up to $10,055 per user, and then it's been around for over 13 years, so basically longer than most of us have been in crypto. There's also 300 plus crypto futures, so if you know, there's a very, very wide array of things that you can trade, and up to 500x leverage. Again, I would highly discourage you really doing anything this high. In my opinion, anything over 20x, like, you really should know what you're doing. And frankly, even anything from like 10 to 20x, that's kind of like the danger zone anyway. So if you aren't familiar with leverage, I would say probably maybe just stay away from that. BTCC does have spot exchanges as well, so you don't have to trade leverage if you don't want to. You can just trade things kind of the old-fashioned way, which I think is a perfectly good strategy. You can't get liquidated if you're not on trading leverage, so something that to definitely consider there. Also, no VPN or KYC necessary if that is something that's important to you. Now, moving on, what we can see is looking at the Virtuals Protocol Twitter profile, we can see 114,000 followers. They've, you know, obviously a pretty decent like user base. They do have their own app, which you will check out in a second. It's a really interesting concept, because effectively you can see based on their pinned comment here, you can basically co-own AI agents that are created. So let's say I create an AI agent that gives people not financial advice, right? So I'm going to create an agent that gives people not financial advice, because obviously nothing that I say is financial advice. So then, you know, maybe I create this thing and it's really interesting, and it's just this thing that gives thoughts and opinions of its own, and of course it's not financial advice, because why would you trust an AI agent with anything? But then what we could do is potentially like sell that off to like a wider community or group of investors, and if it is truly like a really valuable solution for whatever its like target market is or whatever problem it's trying to solve, then obviously it's going to go up in value. It's going to generate revenue, and then that revenue gets distributed to the people who co-own these AI agents. And that's kind of the whole point of it. We'll get into it a little bit more with when we get into the website, but right now I did want to take a quick look just at CoinGecko to show you what we are looking at. This is very important, and I always stress how important this is. We can see that the total and circulating supply are the same, so it's fully diluted. There's no unlocks that we will be seeing in the future, which in my opinion is very key. This is super important because there's not going to be some artificial selling pressure that's pushed onto this chart. It's all diluted. All the virtuals coins that are ever going to exist already do exist, and we can see a market cap of $2.5 billion. A decently sized project, obviously, you know, so it's a pretty large in size, definitely not a small project at all. Based on what we've seen so far with the like momentum of this coin, as well as the things that are being built through this website, I do think that this could have some pretty like insane potential when we go into like the bull run and primarily the alt season, because I would say we kind of are already in the bull run, but primarily into alt season, this is one that could go absolutely nuts. And so looking into the website, I'll kind of explain why here. So if we go back to the main site, we can see there's a whole bunch of different AI agents here, and all these AI agents do kind of different things. And what we can also see is we've got, you know, the holder account here, we've got TVL within like various AI agents, we've got like 24-hour volume, and we also have inferences, basically kind of a way of seeing like how much is it actually used. And we can see there are kind of three that are really kind of primarily used here. We've got Game, Luna, and then the prefrontal cortex convo agent. So these are kind of the three that seem to have kind of the majority of the uses here. We do have a couple down here that have a little bit more use, but I mean, it's pretty clear to see that in terms of inferences, these three are kind of the top. They also do appear to be some of the largest in terms of market cap. We do have some others, you know, that kind of looks like AIXBT is kind of the only other one that has a larger market cap, but again, not really many inferences there. This might potentially just be like a meme AI agent, which again, I don't understand. Like, why are people putting so much money into AI agents that likely don't do a whole lot when they're actually things that like do stuff that are kind of cool? Again, doesn't really make a whole ton of sense to me, but again, it doesn't have to, right? If it makes money, it makes money. And so what we can see here is there's a whole bunch of different like types of AI agents here. We can see creative, we can see productivity, we can see entertainment, we can see information, we've got on-chain, we've got a couple around here, but overall, like, they all do something different. So like, let's look at game, which is kind of one of the largest ones that we can see here. And what we can see is when we go into the site, it's going to ask me for my wallet, which no. So what we can see though is we've got a summary here, And we can see it empowers AI agents to operate autonomously, processing inputs and generating responses while learning from past interactions. It enhances decision making by leveraging long-term memory, including experiences, reflections, and dynamic personality traits. By continuously evaluating the outcomes of actions and conversations, game enables agents to refine their knowledge and improve their planning and performance over time. We can see it's available at 163 different apps. Again, I don't know the like level of integration that we are seeing here, but overall, like a pretty decent bit of like integrations here, and I think that's why we're seeing so many inferences, is because it's interacting through all these different apps that we can see. So overall, hopefully you can see like this is a pretty like novel and like interesting type of idea. We can see there's a difference between sentient agents and prototype agents. I'm asking for my wallet again, but there's a couple like obviously we have these ones are the sentient agents, from my understanding, are the ones who have essentially already kind of passed the bonding curve. And this is why I compare it to pump.fun, because it does seem to have a very similar type of like pump.fun ecosystem or like kind of mechanics here. And so we can see the prototype agents are the ones that are like, they haven't actually passed the bonding curve quite yet. And so there's a whole bunch of different things that we can see here. We can see here, obviously some meme ones. We've got the natural like, virtual like trader agent. I think this is a pretty common. I think we'll see a ton of these coming out, just because obviously everybody wants to know how to make a ton of money and trade a lot and do well and all that type of stuff. But one thing I did find, if we scroll down a little bit, was this AI coach, and this one is pretty interesting. This is the type of like AI agent that I can see like actually having like real value here. So we can see somebody's actually interacting with the AI agent. We can say, make explosive strength training for lower body. I'm a football player, so let it be sort specific. Listen up, champ. I'll give you a definitive lower body strength training plan, but first, what's your current squat and deadlift? Squat 110 kilos, deadlift 80. Impressive lift numbers, but let's focus on form and consistency. What's your workout routine? Basically, like gathering information to get like a fine-tuned workout plan for this particular user that is chatting. And so definitely like a pretty interesting thing that we've got going on here. We can see it's about 65% of the way through. I have not invested in this, nor have I invested in any of these, but hopefully you can see like you can actually like essentially pledge like virtuals amounts to like own part of this like AI agent. So I would imagine probably like obviously there's a certain percentage of this that's going to go to the liquidity pool and burnt, but I'm not super certain on the mechanics here of like what happens to the rest. I would probably imagine that a decent chunk of it probably goes to the dev, or actually it looks like the dev holds a decent chunk, and so some of this is going to be used for the actual like continuation of like the development of the bot, all that type of stuff. This is something where I would also consider it probably in the same realm as pump.fun, given the fact that like I think we're going to see 1,000,001 different rugs with people just trying to launch AI agents that like do stuff but never actually really do anything. And so you do have to be very, very careful here. Obviously, we can see that there are some agents that are working to like varying degrees of success here. We are seeing some that like have pretty decent market caps overall, but a lot of this is like still a pretty small area. I mean, the Virtuals protocol itself is a $2.5 billion market cap coin, but a lot of the AI agents on here are much, much, much smaller than that. I mean, the biggest one we're seeing here, and that's less than 10% of the total market cap. So I think a lot of what remains to be seen with regard to this particular protocol and project is how useful are these AI agents? How can you truly like make money on them? Is there really like a use case? I mean, what we're seeing so far is it looks very, very interesting and very promising, which is why I think it's gone so nuts on the chart lately. But I do think there is more to see here in terms of like, are actually useful things going to come out of it, or is this just kind of like a pump.fun but for AI agents instead of meme coins? Like, it's still, a lot of this remains to be seen, and some of this is I just need to do a little bit more research on my end to figure out like, okay, well, how can we see what the devs are developing once these things get launched? Like, how do you actually monetize like your investment, or are you just holding it because like there's a lot of different things that I want to get a little bit more clarity on here. But overall, I just wanted to bring this to the channel and kind of talk to you guys a little bit about virtuals today, because it seems like it's pretty, like it's got a very, very interesting and novel concept that in my opinion fits incredibly well within the narrative of AI being like this next be all end all type of thing, right? So hopefully you found the information in this video useful. If you did, please do give me a like and subscribe, because it really does help me out. Also, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, anything like that, just please drop them in the comment section below. I do try to read and respond to all of those. So if you have anything you want me to see, that'd be a great way to do it. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.